Welcome, fellow traders. Hopefully we all had a great trading week. Let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Alright, starting the forecast off with the US dollar COT report. The past week the banks added 894 long positions and they also added 1,608 short positions. Starting with a weekly chart here of the dollar, we clearly are reacting off of this weekly demand again. I'm kind of surprised. I'm not too surprised. This is barely a reaction. It's definitely a significant reaction, but it's not like, we held and we pushed all the way back up to here yet. So it doesn't mean that the dollar is going to push up. All I'm simply saying is I'm a little surprised to see another reaction off of it since we've seen like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th time we've come back into the zone. So I am expecting it to break still. But I cannot deny that we've clearly seen some bullish pressure here on the US dollar. Now, what I think we could be seeing simply is just a pullback up to this daily supply at 103, where we could then look for a potential short trade. So we still have profit margin to the upside, and I still think that the US dollar has room to go up. Now, onto the 4-hour chart, you can see we had this supply here. It was significant supply. I actually called it out back in December, and we saw 1, 2, 3 reactions off the supply. Eventually broke it, pierced above the downward trend line, but didn't quite break it yet. So it's definitely a tricky situation here in the dollar. Will we break this downward trend line? Who knows? And what we could also see is a pullback down to this 4-hour demand at 101.57 first, and then the push up. That would actually give us a 4-hour uptrend. But what I'm going to be monitoring is either, if we pull back down to here, that could be a long, like I said, or if we push up, break this trend line here, that would also be a bullish sign, and hopefully we can get some sort of 4-hour uptrend where we can then look to day trade long. But all I'm going to say is, based on even on the 1-hour chart, clearly the momentum is up, and like I said, the daily chart, we clearly have a downtrend, so we want to be trading short the dollar. But like I said, you cannot deny the upper momentum, and we still, like I said, we still have profit margin up to 103.53, so we could still see some strength here in the dollar, but I do personally believe it is going to be short-lived based on that daily supply. So me personally, I'm going to be monitoring this 4-hour chart to see if we pull back to that demand or if we break the trend line right away. Or who knows, we could actually pull back to the demand, break it, continue the downtrend like as expected, and just push down and never end up pushing back to that supply. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens here on the dollar. All right, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. The past week, the banks added 717 longs, and they also got rid of 1,368 shorts. And real quick, if you guys are enjoying this video, would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. I do this weekly Forex forecast every single Friday. Haven't missed one yet, except for Christmas time or if I was sick. So I do appreciate a thumbs up. Would be much, much appreciated. So Euro chart here, daily uptrend. That is significant. We are currently testing lows here of this trend line, so it'll be interesting to see what takes place at that trend line in the daily chart. If we look at the 4-hour chart, we do have this 4-hour demand and control. I'm not calling that removed. So yeah, we could be looking for day trading longs as we come off this 4-hour demand. But again, a little risky, just kind of sideways price action. Really not much for me to point out here on the euro. If you go to a 1-hour chart here, we clearly, we had a pretty nice 1-hour downward trend line. Supply zones removed, downward trend line removed by this demand. Definitely not in love with this demand zone at all. Hate this wick here, but at the end of the day, this is a 1-hour demand zone. That was confirmation. And if you believe that the daily trend is going to continue up, we could be looking for longs coming off of that 1-hour demand at 1.09 here on the euro chart on the 1-hour chart. So that's really all I'm seeing here on the euro. And basically, like I said, that would be a continuation trade of this 1-hour uptrend. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. It's definitely possible we kind of base out this week and eventually break the daily upper trend line as well. But at the end of the day, that daily trend, we pretty much got to trade with that daily trend. The big question is, will this 1-hour demand zone hold? Will this 4-hour demand zone hold and continue to go up? Or are we going to break it? And then at that point, we might be able to switch our bias to short. But in the meantime, as long as this 1-hour demand and this 4-hour demand are holding on the euro, I think we should be looking for longs, in my opinion. On to the forecast for gold. The past week, the banks added 863 longs, and they also added 932 shorts. A reminder here on the weekly chart, we do have a weekly uptrend. So that is extremely significant. broke the highs. Definitely a very, very bullish looking chart here on gold. Now on the daily chart, we clearly lost a little bit of momentum here. It was looking good. Eventually broke down below the trend line. Haven't really been able to break that high just yet. Now the big question here on gold, and it's what I'm asking myself, is are we going to push up from here? Or are we going to push down to here first and then react to the upside? As you can tell, I am bullish on gold. I'd be surprised if we really started to break down and all the way down here. Yeah, long term we could push down on any one of these daily demand zones again and then react to the upside. Anything is possible, but that weekly uptrend, I definitely want to be favoring longs, and I've been asking myself, are we going to pull back down to this daily demand? And, we have seen some evidence on the 4-hour chart. We did get a move off of this 4-hour supply zone here. So definitely kind of just basing out sideways. I will say, the trade's already been happening short here. So if we do break that supply, any demand zone here, we could definitely be favoring longs and looking for longs there on gold. If you go to a 1-hour chart, kind of just like the euro, we actually had the 1-hour demand zone with this weird wick. And on the euro, we didn't quite push into the zone yet, but on gold, we are reacting off this 1-hour demand. So we could be looking for day trading longs as we come off this demand zone. And honestly, if we break this low here on the 1-hour chart, I think it's safe to say, going back to that daily chart, that we most likely, will be pulling back down to that daily demand. Like I said, if we break the lows on the 1-hour chart, creating that 1-hour downtrend. So I'm personally, going to be monitoring the 1-hour chart to see if this demand holds or if it breaks and we break that low, and that'll give me the sign that we're probably going to pull back down to like 2000, 1995 there on gold, where we can then look for a dip buying opportunity and potentially trade short all the way down to daily demand on day trading timeframes. And if you guys want my zones throughout the week, because just because I'm showing you a zone here doesn't mean I don't give zones out throughout the week. You can check out the Diamond membership. We are still running our lifetime access promo code right now, where we have 30% off, and it is running until Monday, guys. So this is your last time. The prices will be going up, but it is the lifetime membership option, where you get the daily market breakdown videos where I'm showing my zones, daily chart analysis, video lessons, Sunday live stream forecasts, Sunday strategy Zoom session with members. It's more of a private, almost one-on-one type thing as well. So check it out. Links are in the description down below if you want to support the channel. Get my analysis daily and much, much more. Like I said, we'll be happy to see you guys on the team. Promo code 2024 for that lifetime access, 30%. Get it now before the price goes up. All right, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week, the banks got rid of 2,100 longs and they got rid of 3,736 short positions. Now, looking at the 4-hour chart, you might be seeing, okay, USDJPY clearly breaking out this downward trend line, momentum to the upside. We want to be buying pullbacks to the long side, but we have to be careful, and here is why. If you look at a daily chart here, we clearly are into this daily supply. Now, this daily supply was tested before. We went in for a deeper test now, clearly reacting off of this supply zone with a supply zone above as well. So this is definitely something we need to consider. I'm not saying we're definitely going to push down. There's really no trend here. It's definitely difficult to tell what the situation is. But at the end of the day, we have a daily supply zone that is in control, and it is definitely something that we want to consider. The only time I would consider getting long is one of two options. Actually, we have three options. If we push up here and we break this 4-hour supply zone, leaving us with 4-hour demand, we could be looking for longs off of that 4-hour demand zone, because it's safe to say those daily supply zones are probably going to get blown through. Or we wait for this demand zone to be hit at 142.13 and we look for longs down there on the 4-hour chart. Or maybe we do something like this, push up, create a 4-hour uptrend, and at any point when we have this 4-hour uptrend, at that point, day trading longs on a 15-minute chart or lower are okay, and we can be looking for longs. So either waiting for the break of this supply zone, the pullback down to this demand zone, or for a nice 4-hour uptrend where we can then look for longs on the USDJPY. As far as shorts go, I really don't like the idea of shorting at this daily supply. I'm not a huge fan of it. If we create some sort of nice supply zone on the 1-hour chart, the 4-hour chart, maybe. But honestly, I do kind of think this supply zone will end up breaking. At least maybe we push up, react off this supply up here or something. But these supply zones are tested, so I am expecting them to break. We're just gonna have to see evidence of that first. So like I said, on the 4-hour chart, a lot of options here. So hopefully all that makes sense. And remember, guys, any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. Leave it in the comments. I will respond. On to the forecast for the British pound. The past week, the banks added 3,044 longs, and they also added 1,931 shorts. Remember, daily momentum and trend is clearly up. There's no fresh demand zone down here that we can get in long at, unfortunately, but that's okay. So for the next, what I'm looking at for on the daily chart here is if we remove this daily supply, leaving us with daily demand, that would be a nice demand zone to look for longs at, just like we were doing down here, for those of you who remember from back in December. So that is one option here on the daily chart. I know that's a pretty long ways away, but I definitely need to point that out. On the 4-hour chart, something significant had happened. We had that upward trend line, beautiful, clear demand here, and we actually broke not only the trend line, but the demand zones as well, which left us with supply. Nice reaction off of the supply, but clearly pushing up. I don't know if this was some sort of fake out or what's going on. I don't really like this supply zone at all anymore at this point. What I'm going to be looking for is basically the removal of this supply zone. If we get a 4-hour demand zone, we could be looking for longs there. That is definitely an option here on the British pound. That's really all I'm seeing. In my opinion, this supply zone is still holding. We could be looking for day trading shorts off of that, but it's not my favorite situation. And with the daily trend, we want to be favoring longs, in my opinion. And really all I'm seeing for longs, we have two options here. We could wait for a pullback down to this 1-hour demand at 1.267, look for longs down there. Or if we break up and break that supply, any 1-hour demand there, we could be looking for longs. And this is actually a very significant supply zone. Not only did we react with it beautifully recently, but once, twice, 3 times before. Clearly, significant supply there. So, like I said, any pullback down to 1.267 could be good. And anytime we break this supply in the 1-hour chart would also be a favorable confirmation to continue to look for longs, and that daily trend is going to continue up. Let me know what your thoughts are on the pound and what you think is going to take place. Let me know in the comments down below. Alrighty, on to the forecast for my country, the USDCAD. The past week, the banks got rid of 4,380 longs and they added 9,210 shorts. Remember, daily demand in control. We clearly are pushing up, and we have lots of profit margin up to supply at 1.35. Are we down at this demand zone anymore? No, we're kind of almost halfway through, but it doesn't. At the end of the day, the demand zone isn't in control. So I think looking for longs could be good here. If you look at the USDCAD here, pointed out this supply zone in the daily market breakdown video. I actually took a trade here, got a nice short, 3-to-1 was hit right there, and almost an immediate push back up. I still think looking for longs down here at 1.32 on the 4-hour chart could definitely be good in my opinion. And the supply is still holding, so we could definitely still see a push down off that supply. Maybe that's what's going to take place before we push down to this demand zone. So even if we remove this supply up here right now, that is also a bullish sign. We could be looking for longs down up there or down at this demand zone right there. And if you are bearish, we could just continue to look for shorts as we push down to that 4-hour supply zone if we do. And the most important thing to consider, whatever zone you want to trade, whatever you're looking for, just make sure that there's enough profit margin up to the daily supply. You don't really want to be getting in long up here, especially at such a significant area of supply. That's such a nice supply zone. Just like you didn't really want to be getting in shorts down here either, because price blew right up. So that's what I'm going to be looking for here in the USDCAD, basically for that continuation move up to that daily supply. And who knows, we could just, this 4-hour supply zone here could just continue to react. We could blow through this 4-hour demand zone, no problem. And at that point, if there's a 4-hour supply zone here, we could be looking for shorts there. So there's a ton of options here on the USDCAD. Not a lot to go off here in the 4-hour chart as far as trend, but like I said, 2 zones here that we could definitely be using for trading on the USDCAD. On to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks added 5,431 longs and they got rid of 2,979 shorts. Looking at the daily chart here, this significant daily demand at 0.66. I like this daily demand. I personally want to look for longs in that demand zone, something like that. Clearly, we couldn't break down to this demand zone. Almost wicked into it. Came pretty close. I just want to say we clearly have still profit margin down to this daily demand, so we could still see a move down to that demand zone. On the 1-hour chart, we clearly broke momentum. We had a beautiful downward trend line here. broke above the trend line, leaving us with this demand zone. It looks very similar to what we've seen on the other pairs. So we could get a move off of that 1 hour demand zone if we in fact break this demand zone. And right here, any 1 hour supply here we could be using for shorts to trade down to that daily area of demand that I pointed out, and that would be definitely the bearish sign we need to say, hey, I think we're going to continue to pull down, and that this was just a fake out. It's definitely possible that that move was just a fake out, and we're going to pull back down to that daily demand. Another option is we still have a 4 hour upward trend here. Tested the trend line, broke below it, but I don't call that removed in my opinion. With the 4 hour supply above at 0.68, we could see a move off of that supply zone. The problem is it's kind of far away from where price is now. Will this supply zone work and push all the way back down to that daily demand? I don't know. But it is supply zone that I would be looking for to potentially trade from. And if we get something like this where we break this supply and the high, then that would basically give us another 4 hour confirmation that we're going to continue to go up, and we could be looking for longs at that point as well. So a lot of options here on the Aussie. Pretty clear price action in my opinion. I'm personally just hoping we can pull back down to 0.66 at that daily area of demand. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USDCHF, the Swiss franc. The past week, the banks added 4,082 longs, and they also added 2,312 shorts. Remember, weekly and daily downward trend at the moment right now. So we definitely want to be favoring shorts. Unfortunately, on the 4 hour chart, we did blow right through that supply zone, got some sort of reaction. I still think this supply zone up here at 0.86 is still definitely a decent little 4 hour supply zone that we could be looking for shorts at. For sure, that's really all I'm seeing as far as the 4 hour chart goes. The 1 hour chart is pretty interesting. We had a 1 hour upward trend line, and we broke below the trend line, leaving us with supply. Again, looks very similar to the other zones we've seen. We had demand down here and a clear reaction off of this demand zone to the upside. So the question is, will this demand zone hold and push price, all the way back up there? Difficult to tell right now. Me personally, I don't know if it's going to. I still think looking for shorts off that supply could be good. But like I said, we could just kind of blast through those supply zones because, like I was saying, we could just pull back up to this 4 hour supply and get a move off of that supply zone. That is an option too. So we're going to have to monitor the 1 hour chart, see what takes place here. If we're either going to continue to break up to the upside or not. I'm personally hoping we can just push up a little bit higher to that 4 hour supply and get a short, off of that 4 hour supply zone to trade with the daily and the weekly downtrend. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. The banks added 275 longs, and they added 35,830 short positions. Remember, daily trend is down. There is no denying that. We broke supply, but the trend line is still here and holding. Not looking great for shorts. I mean, we're kind of just basing out. Looks like we want to kind of explode to the upside, if I'm being completely honest. On the 1 hour chart, something significant has taken place. We created demand down here at 71. Beautiful reaction off that demand, and we have a 1 hour upward trend at this point. So it is still counter trend because remember, the daily trend is down, like I said. So this 1 hour trend is a counter trend move. But what that means is with this 1 hour upward trend, we could just be looking for day trading longs on a 1 minute or a 5 minute chart. But remember, it is counter trend, so it's not the highest odds. But we definitely, since we have a nice trend, it is definitely a little more probability that we're going to continue to go up. Now, if we pull back down to $70.27, we could see a move off of that 4 hour demand zone as well at $70.27, like I said. So we're going to have to monitor that 1 hour chart, see, like if that 1 hour trend line is holding and it continues to hold, then going back to the daily chart, we're probably going to break that supply zone. So again, longs, since it's a downtrend on the daily chart, longs must be on day trading time frames. That doesn't have to be, but it's just higher odds. Or if we pull back down to 4 hour demand, that would be a decent area we could look for longs in as well here on crude oil. If you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.